Alright everybody, before we start the video, I just want to announce that I am giving a giveaway on my channel. We're trying to reach 200 subs, and once we do that, we'll be giving out a Lorcana pin that was given out at Gen Con. We'll also be giving out a starter deck, and also we'll be still giving out the Lorcana Mickey Mouse promo from Gen Con as well, which I think is still like $100 bucks. So we're trying to reach 200 subs. Help me do that. Hit the subscribe button down below somewhere over here, and I'll link you to the video in the contest below. What's going on, guys? AladdinsCastle here. I know what you guys are thinking, what am I doing with a silly hat? But today we had our Halloween event, so I went and dressed up as Sorcerer Mickey. So that's my technically outfit for the day, and I did make a themed deck for today. It's basically a villains deck featuring Mickey and his brooms. So it was a fun deck. We just played casuals today. I was 2-1, and then I really wanted to make a themed deck based on like villains and stuff. So I chose Amber and Amethyst. I felt like those two really mixed well. And I think Amethyst had a lot of like villains that are iconic, so like Maleficent and Dr. Facilier. So we're just gonna go with the deck profile. It's something fun, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. So here we go. All right. So start off with 4 Maleficents. It's your traditional aggro, Simba, which I do run. So she quests for 2, and then she's also a villain. And then later in the game, she gets even stronger if you happen to pull out this guy out, which is a spoiler. Hades, the 8-drop, you want to try to get him out earlier with shift 6, and then you could play a bunch of villains and kind of quest for a lot of lore, which is ideal, but never happened today, but it's just something fun that can happen, especially in the future too. And then to keep it kind of semi-competitive, I did run the Stitch into Stitch Rockstar package. So you do run some decent low drops so that you could kind of be aggressive against like those slow matchups like Ruby Amethyst, which I did play today, so that really helped in the matchup. So you run 4 of those Stitches. Then for the 2-cost ink, you run Simba. This is again like the traditional Lilo into Simba, Maleficent into Simba, the bodyguard against certain matchups. It's hard for them to answer this unless they're like Steel or maybe Rafiki or something like that. So Simba's still really good against a lot of decks out there. And then I ran 4 Dr. Facilier. I needed some targets to shift into the big Facilier. But he's a challenger +2, and he does have a hefty health with 4, so it is kind of annoying for your opponent to get rid of. So he kind of stays on the field for like another turn, for like 2 turns or so. Next is the broom package. Because I want to keep it thematic, I'm running brooms. The magic brooms, he kind of shuffles back a card on either player's discard pile. Not really anything crazy to shuffle back into my deck because I do run Hades, so I could just get it back with it. But sometimes you could just shuffle in like a bad card in your opponent's discard pile, and hopefully they draw into it. But it's a cheap cost, and you could play Mickey Mouse Sorcerer.
Can you make me a
which
prince?
really complements that card really well. 3 cost, I run the other Dr. Facilier. He's pretty decent too. He has okay stats. Whenever you play a song, you could look at the top 2 cards, put 1 to the top and 1 to the bottom. So it kind of reorganizes it. He could also sing Friends on the Other Side too as well, so it's a good combination. You could draw 2 and then organize your next 2 draws, which is pretty cool. Then I also run 4 Maleficents. She's a villain too as well. She's your traditional Amethyst package with the Friends on the Other Side. Seeing that, draw 2, nothing too crazy about that. I mean, that's the reason why you play Amethyst, is for that draw power synergy. Another crazy draw power in this deck is Rapunzel's. I actually don't think you really need her because a lot of your low-cost characters don't really have a lot of health, except for like your Dr. Facilier. But she can help later in the game when your opponent's stalling or something. You could kind of just maybe draw 2 or something like that off your characters, and when your opponent sees this card or you ink it, they kind of stop trying to be aggressive against your other characters because they don't want to damage them so that you could heal. So she kind of plays multiple roles. I know she's not a villain, but you know, there's some draw power needed in the deck. Then I run 4 Jetsams. He is basically there against evasive. Naturally, Amber and Amethyst don't have a lot of removal, so you're really trading into a lot of cards. So Jetsam can trade into like the early game Pongos, Pascals, like stuff like that. And you could boost his power later on with another card, which I'll show in a bit. But I think it was okay. I wish he kind of quests for 2, but that would have been maybe broken. Then I run myself, my own character, which is Mickey Mouse, Wayward Sorcerer. He's there just for the broom package. He quests for 2, decent stats, and he makes your brooms cost 1 less. And if a broom is banished, it goes back to your hand, so you can kind of just crash into other characters with the broom, put it back to your hand, and then play it again next turn, or play it again just for 1 ink. So it's really fun, but it's much better in like the Ruby Amethyst build. Then I run 2 Hades, just to kind of loop back certain cards that my opponent maybe banishes or removes. I kind of wish I played like 4 of them, which I probably will change if I do happen to play this deck again. But he just gets back like your important cards, so you could kind of just, you don't have to fear too much about removal because you can always get it back later. And then I also run 2 Jafars. He's also a villain too. And sometimes you do have a fat hand, like you have like maybe 5 cards, 6 cards because of Rockstar Stitch, maybe because of Maleficent and your other draw powers. So he can be like a 5 costing attacker, which can help also in the long run against certain matchups. So he could be a threat either way, but the 0 does suck if your opponent, like, I don't know, hand discards you, or you're probably not going to play this card in the next set because of all the Emerald hate, or Emerald discard stuff. 5 cost ink, I run 2 Maximus, mostly for his like bodyguard and support ability. You could kind of add his support to your attacker. So this can help like with your Jetsams that you can kind of add 4, and you could kind of swing into like the higher evasive stuff like Goofies and whatnot. So he's really strong for there, and then he kind of protects your lower cost guys like your Lethos, or if you happen to play Stitch and then you exert all those characters and you want to protect them, Maximus is also a good option there. They have to go through Maximus. Then I play 2 Queens. She's also a villain. She's kind of there just for extra draw power, but she has decent stats as well too. Doesn't have a lot of lore, but she's mainly there just to help quest, or just to help draw cards and maybe swing into other big bodies. Obviously the main attraction for the deck, aside from Hades, is the Stitch. Just Stitch aggro against like so many other slower decks is just really good, and the 3 lore is also very powerful if you are able to shift it out early. So Stitch is just really strong. I'm surprised it's just like a $10 card.
Can you make me a prince?
Then I run a full playset of Dr. Facilier because I have 8 targets that I could also shift to the 2 cost and the 3 cost ink Faciliers. And he's pretty decent. He's mostly there just for that 3 lore threat, because you're not really taking advantage of a lot of the cards that go back to your hand. I mean, they're okay effects, but they're not like Ruby Amethyst where this probably shines a little bit more. And then the final 2 is Super Saiyan Hades. Yeah, another game, but he's really there just for the potential of having high questing lore if your opponent doesn't have a lot of removal, if they don't play Be Prepared, or if they can't trade into a lot of your characters, maybe like Emerald or something like that, that doesn't have a lot of removal. You might be able to survive, and then he could kind of quest for like 3, 4, whatever. So he's the ideal drop. He's not really that good though, but he could shift for 6, and you know the ideal play is, the dream play is having multiple villains in your deck. So I think I play about 28, so you have a decent chance of maybe getting like 3 more or something out of it. But never really casted him, but eventually I think in the future sets he'll be a very valuable card, especially if they're able to play like more villain stuff or whatnot. So but yeah, that was my deck. I hope you guys enjoy that. Something fun here that we play at Perfect Circle Games. We just wanted to try something different and keep it thematic. So happy Halloween, everybody. I hope you guys had a good time. I'll catch you guys in the next video.